Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Top of the morning to you. It is Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard. We are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. This show, as always, is brought to you by DraftKings, and we are loaded today. Julian Edlow from DK on in 30 minutes going over today's NBA card. We have Ross Tucker talking NFL and Wes Reynolds on college bowl games. Was it a smart move, Paulie, to take the day off yesterday after Christmas? Because we had so many games on Monday, and then yet yesterday was kind of a loaded card on top of it?
Yeah, especially with the flu going around, too. I think that's a good move.
Yeah.
And recharge the batteries. And yesterday was an underrated day, too, with a full soccer card and some bowl games.
Good to be back? How you feeling, by the way?
Yeah, all right. Okay.
All right. So the bowl season continues now, and now it's really going to ramp up this week. As we had 3 yesterday, we're going to get a bunch today, tomorrow, Friday, into Saturday. What happened last night, how often does this happen on game day? Is this going to become a thing now during the bowl season on game day when you're talking about Kansas and UNLV last night playing, and that number had been Kansas 13 on the board for a while, total of 67. The total came down last night, but then all of a sudden, you take like a 10-minute breather, you come back. Wait, what happened to the point spread? It crashed down to it's 10.5, now 10, and now it's below 10, and yet money kept coming in, books kept adjusting. That bad boy got to Kansas. The lowest that I saw anywhere out here in Las Vegas anyway, was Kansas minus 7.5, minus 105. And all of the talk was about their quarterback, Jason Bean, and whether or not he was going to be able to give it a go or not. And then you had people, especially from Las Vegas. One would be Adam Hill, who's been on this network many times. He was covering the game. He's on the field. He's tweeting. He's like, I understand what's going on. I see the line movement. The speculation's out there that Bean's been sick for a while. He's not going to play. Well, 2 hours before the game, he's stretching. Then he's throwing the football around. According to Adam, who, again, boots on the ground, looked totally fine. Then all of a sudden, Bean goes back on his own to the locker room, and like the 3 other quarterbacks on the roster continue to work out. The speculation, the buzz, what people thought was going to happen, they were convinced, I think, that Bean was going to miss the game last night. So that crashed to 7.5 minus 105.
Yeah.
And they go out there and they scored 49 points, and he had 6 touchdowns passing.
It's a great game of telephone. And how does this happen? It also happened with a UNLV game against New Mexico, where the game moved big time. UNLV covered with ease, and it wasn't even based. There were no injuries or anything, and it moves right before kickoff.
Well, that was the game where people thought some funny business might have been happening.
Yeah, right. So is he sick? Is he going to play? What fascinates me is how the conversation gets started. I think it was it New Jersey Gaming or someone, they wanted to talk to us at VSiN when I was told there were major suspensions and quarterbacks were on, I think it was Marshall's team. I can't even remember now. But it was a Conference USA game years ago. And apparently the kids were told, you're not playing, you're suspended. And then they told their family, because it was a road game, like, don't bother coming. And then it spread like wildfire, and we had the information first, and then it was a big move on the game. So with this, it's like, well, who knows that the quarterback has the flu with Kansas, and then he may not play, even though he does play.
Right.
So it's much ado about nothing, and they win and cover. But that's the other thing, too, about who knows this, who's told this with the ease of legalized gambling, and then who's telling who about, hey, you might want to take a peek at this. The Kansas quarterback may not play. He's not feeling well.
Here's what's crazy to me is that, again, speculation here. Who knows what is the absolute truth. But I saw something about he may have been sick for like up to 10 days.
Yeah, it's like Texas San Antonio with Harris. Oh, he's not playing. He's got a bad shoulder. You knew that the whole time. You
exactly
say
right.
Right before kickoff?
So, yeah, it took this long for people to get a whiff of that news. Oh, Bean might not be playing tonight, but he's been sick for a while now. I guess maybe they knew about it, but they figured he was going to be okay. But then that point spread just absolutely crashed. They had 591 yards last night. Also, he did throw the 3 INTs, but there was some talk leading into the game that their star running back, Devin Neal, could also maybe sit out, hit the transfer portal bolt. There was Pete Thamel tweeted out breaking news. This was so the game started at 7:10 Mountain Time. This was at 5:47 Mountain Time. Neal informed the staff that he was going to return next year. It took until 90 minutes before kickoff, and the speculation was out there, people kicking this around, he might take off, might not. That might be the reason why it's going to crash. He had 70 yards, scored a touchdown in the game. It was just absolute bonkers what took place last night.
Yeah, and Bulls are going to be forever broken here to the end of time
No
because of the
question.
calendar. I mean, you have Rodemaker who hits the portal for the Florida State, and that game is just everyone. No one's playing for Florida State, and a ton of opt-outs with Georgia. Texas is in a semifinal playoff game, and Murphy decides to transfer, the backup quarterback.
Yep.
So it forever. It's just you see the line move specifically with the games today. In a 7.5-point move in the Oklahoma State game, and a 6-point move in the Va Tech game, 5-point move on the total. Bulls are going to be broken for until the end of time now.
And we did see books, they slowly put the numbers up. And in fact, when they were released after the matchups were announced, 3 weeks ago or whatever it was, they did have games posted by that Monday morning. So is that going to be rare moving forward, where they're going to say, there's no, why should we post numbers at this point?
Well, you can put it up with low limits.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, that's another option too.
Yeah.
But so you had that going on last night. Tough, man, to get a read. I'm excited for these bowl games, to watch them, to bet on them. I have a pretty good bet on Oklahoma State at plus 4.5. Bet that right away. Paul Stone said that immediately. He could see Texas A&M having a mass exodus. That's been the case. Nothing's a lock. No, I mean, look at the Missouri-Ohio State game on Friday. Again, I grabbed Missouri plus 6.5. Mm-hmm. They got all the way to a 2.5-point favorite. Now Ohio State's going to play guys, and they're favored.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's
a guessing game.
It really is.
You have no idea. You have no idea. So
that was going on. The Pistons lost again last night.
At a double-digit lead.
That's now the longest regular season losing streak of all time. And for those of you who missed what happened, it's in overtime. So, you really, a lot of people won't count that. So they should have covered anyway. They did cover, but the way they covered at the end of overtime is what made it so special last night, because the Nets went to the free throw line. Pistons were fouling down 107 to 112. And, oh, by the way, they were throwing the ball away on almost every single possession late, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a comedy of errors. Bridges misses 3 out of 4, actually 4 free throws, and the team missed 5 out of 6. That's the only reason why the Pistons covered the game last night.
Incredible. You see that in the NBA. And it's Bridges who misses 3 of them.
He's like 85% career.
Yeah, they missed 5 of their last 6. So it's the second longest losing streak in sports history. Next up, the 76ers. They have the record. They lost 28 in a row. The 14-15, 15-16 76ers, who were not trying to win. This team is trying to win. But Cunningham was great, but there's high draft picks on this team. But, Duck, you were out on Christmas. Duck Kazarian hammered the under 9.5 wins and got 8-1, 9-1. And part of his rationale is, well, as we've talked about, number one, they can't shoot the 3 well. So you can eliminate that from that standpoint of, they're going to get hot one game and just knock down a bunch of 3s.
Right.
That's not going to happen. The other angle is teams don't want to get embarrassed and lose to this outfit. They go to Boston, then they play Toronto, then it's a 4-game homestand. Spurs at home at the Wizards. I mean, under 9.5 looks good, and it was once 10-1, and now you're talking about plus 240 at DraftKings that they won't win 10 games. So to lose, they haven't won since October. They're going to go back-to-back months without winning a game. 2-28, lost 27 in a row, beat the Bulls October 28th. Brutal schedule coming up. And other than Cunningham, there's not a lot of great players as well. And then it's a perfect storm where you give a head coach $70 million, so it's my way or the highway. They're also catching a bad beat because at Wingstop, if they win, you get 5 free wings. They're trying to give away the free food, and they can't do it because the Pistons can't get a win. So when they lose to Boston Thursday, that ties the record for longest losing streak in the history of sports with the Big Four. Think about that.
Well,
be 28 in a row.
I would tell the audience to buckle your seatbelts and brace for looking at the biggest number you've ever seen in an NBA game tomorrow. And maybe DraftKings will release that number before we're in.
Haven't lost at home, right?
So, how high can you make an NBA point spread? Can something get close to 20 in an NBA game? This is going to be, I think, probably when they release it, the highest one that I can ever remember. And I can recall, like some of those, when I first moved out here, some of those Shaq Kobe teams for the Lakers when they were playing a team. Remember where I was actually for one of them, and I bet the Lakers and it lost. They were laying like 16 or 17, I think, against the Hawks one night. There was no Dikembe Mutombo, if I recall correctly. Hawks covered. I think Nazir Muhammad gave him a big game or something silly like that. But we've seen the point spreads get to that range. I can never recall a 20-point spread in the NBA.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to get that high or not, but here you go with the highest power-rated team in the NBA against a team now in the longest losing streak ever in the regular season.
And it's following around, too. Well, Monty Williams talked about it before the game. It's just like everywhere you go. You're going to win a game? You're going to set the record? 26 in a row, 27 in a row? I mean, it's just... It gets consumed them at this point. It's all they think about, and it's absolutely embarrassing.
It's
that
like
a team like this with high draft picks year after year, 27 in a row.
That's like a Survivor contest, but the exact opposite way.
Yeah.
When you're still alive, that's all you can think about. I'm on one of the apps right now on my phone, and I'm toggling between November and December, and they grade out the wins in green and the losses in red. There is more red than a broken roulette machine or a broken roulette wheel. When you talk, there's nothing. That's all it is. I've never seen that before. There isn't one hint of green. Look, like you said.
Haven't won a game in 2 months.
Yeah.
And as Matt Heumann said, they had to. I mean, they started 2-1. How did that happen?
That's right.
They beat the Bulls at home, and Zach LaVine had 50 in that game. He had half the points.
Their last win was the 28th of October. Was the World Series still going on?
Yeah. Yeah, the Diamondbacks have a win. There was an angle there with the Diamondbacks. More wins than the Pistons. Yeah.
Win some, lose some coming up next. And we have some projected numbers for potential NFL playoff games we'll tell you about coming up next here on VSiN.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Welcome aboard. It is Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. This show is brought to you by DraftKings. We're efforting Ross Tucker here on the program today. Paulie Howard is back after a day off yesterday. And we do have numbers here to go over in Week 17 of the National Football League at DraftKings. One more Thursday night game to get into. The Jets are playing at the Browns. What this game could have been if Rodgers never got hurt and how meaningful it might be. That's obviously what the schedule makers and the league office was hoping for as well. But the Browns are up to a 7.5-point favorite. Total is 35 here. Is this too many for you to lay with Cleveland at this point?
No. God, no.
Okay.
Simeon's not going to move the ball. No way. I mean, they were up 3 touchdowns against Washington and should have lost the game. So, again, Hackett continues to be a horrific play caller. And that's another one, too. I mean, why are you running gadget stuff and you're going shotgun backed up in your own territory? Just run the ball to Breece Hall. And you're backed up and you're going shotgun, and Simeon fumbles. They're in the red zone. He throws an interception. It's almost a pick six. You got Cleveland, the number 1 defense now at home in points per game allowed. Simeon's not moving the ball. No way. And if you want to don't do the teaser. It's the Frank B special. The money line parlay pays better if you want to take Dallas and Cleveland as opposed to teasing them down. But it's going to be for everyone to see now tomorrow. And this Stefanski is the favorite at William Hill, Coach of the Year. He's $1.10.
They moved him that low, huh?
And Flacco's now 4-1 for comeback player of the year. So they win, they're in, and still it takes a miracle, but they can still win the division.
So I'm looking at DraftKings right now. Stefanski's plus 185 there. He's a little bit behind Dan Campbell. You know who I think is sneaky right now at 20-1? Sean McVay.
Done a good job.
They're 20-1. If they win out, they're going to have, 9 wins?
Yep.
And it's been Stafford's playing some of the best ball of his life right now. And I'll say this again.
It's hard. I know it's hard, though. But, I mean, will the Colts and or Texans make the playoffs? I mean, if Steichen gets them in the playoffs, if Ryans gets them in the playoffs with how bad they've been.
We went back and looked yesterday. The Rams had the 4th shortest odds to have the most losses this year. Nobody liked them.
No, everyone thought they'd be horrible.
Everybody was betting their win total
right.
under. They thought it was going to be easy money, under 6.5 wins. And here they are now, and a team that basically nobody wants to play in the playoffs.
I don't think the Jets are going to move it. Now, how about Saleh? No regrets that we didn't go after Flacco. I mean, this Douglas Saleh, while they butchered this and didn't try to get a quarterback and salvage the season, there was no plan B once Rodgers got hurt. I mean, I know Flacco struggled when he was in there last year, but how he's lighting it up, what Brissett is doing.
Brissett and Rivera, I noticed yesterday, would not name a starting quarterback. Surprise, surprise out of that guy. It's got to be Brissett the final 2 games. It absolutely must be.
Sam Howell is awful.
Well, he's good and bad. He's the new Jameis Winston. There's a lot of bad. There is some good to that guy, but the offensive line also stinks. I think we have Ross Tucker now on the program. Ross, thanks for the time today. Happy holidays. I think you heard some of that conversation there. Who would you give Coach of the Year to today?
Stefanski. Yeah, Stefanski. Right. It's funny. I was listening to you guys. I wrote about this last week for my column for the 33rd team. I think it's Stefanski. Now, going into week 16, I thought D'Amico Ryans and Shane Steichen had really good arguments as well. And to me, it was a 3-man race. I don't personally understand the Dan Campbell stuff as much. Mm-hmm. I get it's a great story. Dan and I were teammates in Dallas, first division title in 30 years. But, I mean, I don't know. The Lions won 9 games last year.
Right.
And this year they'll probably win 12. I think this is like everybody's so excited about the Lions winning a division, the Lions actually being good, that's why Campbell would win it. But I'm much more impressed from a coaching perspective by what we've seen from Steichen, Ryans, and Stefanski. The problem is, D'Amico Ryans and Stefanski just went head-to-head, and the Browns destroyed the Texans. And you can say, well, the Texans didn't have C.J. Stroud. Yeah, guess what? The Browns are on their 4th quarterback in Joe Flacco. And then even Shane Steichen, they lost bad to the Falcons. I mean, that was a bad look. It's going to be tough for it to be someone that doesn't make the playoffs, as you guys were talking about. So that makes it tough for Steichen and D'Amico Ryans. I don't know how you vote for D'Amico Ryans after what Stefanski just did. The Browns are the first team since at least 1950 to win games with 4 different quarterbacks. The Browns have like 28% of their salary cap on IR. Their top 3 offensive tackles, their star running back, their franchise quarterback. And yet, here they are, 10 wins. They got a chance to have 12 wins. Plus, Stefanski has a standalone game tomorrow night against the Jets, likely going to win that one. They'll be talking about how great he is the whole game. That matters, too, as we get down towards the end of this thing.
Oh, good points. How about comeback player of the year? Flacco was on the couch, and he's throwing for 300 yards every week. Damar Hamlin's minus $4 at DraftKings. Baker Mayfield's had an incredible season. Who's the comeback player of the year?
I think it's Flacco, but I think it's a really weird award. I mean, we don't really have a definition of it. I said the other day I thought it was Flacco, and Niners fans were mad. Niners fans wanted to be Mullins because he came back from elbow surgery after the NFC Championship game. So I don't even know. I mean, look, I think Baker Mayfield's kind of in the Geno Smith category from a year ago who won it. Flacco's kind of a weird one because, he only played the last 4 or 5 games or whatever it is. But I don't know. He came back from the couch, man. To me, it's really, really impressive how he's played. And I understand what Damar Hamlin came back from, and it's tremendous that he survived what happened a year ago, that he's able to come back and make an NFL team. All of that stuff is awesome. I think I saw where he's played 8 defensive snaps, guys. So what is the award about? Is the award about someone that kind of comes from nowhere to play really well? Or is it someone that overcomes something significant to just get back on the field? I really don't know. Hamlin has been such a prohibitive favorite all season, but I don't know. I think as we're getting towards the end here, more and more people are saying, well, why are we really voting for him for this award? Isn't there like some other award he could get and give comeback player of the year to someone that's performed well on the field?
Yeah, well said. Totally agree with all that, too. I think Flacco can actually pull that off. So I think I've been telling myself now for like 2 months, do not overreact to the Chiefs long-term for this year, like coming out of the AFC, maybe getting back to the Super Bowl. Mitch, do not overreact. well, how do I not now after yet another dud performance on Christmas Day that was just maybe the biggest stink bong for that team out of the entire year, Ross?
Well, and I'm telling you guys right now, we talked about this yesterday on the Even Money Betting podcast with me and Steve Fezzik.
Mm-hmm.
Write this down, okay? From now on, we're fading home teams on Christmas. We're fading home teams on Christmas. And I'm telling you why. If you're home on Christmas and you're playing, your family's coming in. Your mother-in-law, your dad, whoever it is, right? And you're worried about all the other things. The Chiefs played horrible at home. The Niners got smashed at home.
Mm-hmm.
And the Eagles, they won, but they had some critical mistakes as well. So I think I'm going to be fading Christmas home teams from now on. As for the Chiefs, I'm stunned, guys. I mean, the way the Chiefs are playing this year is how I thought they might play last year in their first year without Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how this is happening the second year without Tyreek Hill. Mahomes very clearly doesn't trust the receivers, but it felt like he trusted them last year. It's mainly the same guys. Doesn't really trust his tackles. He's in a funk. Travis Kelce, let's just say it, right? He's not quite what he has been. He's still an awesome player, but I don't know that he is quite as dynamic or as elite as he's been in recent years, and it's hurting them. I will say I'm kind of fascinated if it gets to that point to see Patrick Mahomes actually have to play a road playoff game, but they might not even get that far. I mean, if they're the 3 seed and they have to host like a 6 seed Buffalo Bills, that might not work out all that well for the Kansas City Chiefs.
You like anything on the Week 17 card?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of like the Rams laying the 6.5. I heard what you guys were saying earlier about Sean McVay, and he's one of the guys that I think should be up there for the coach of the year. Most people right now, like most people watching this show or listening or whatever, how many guys on the Rams can they even name?
Good point.
And by the way, the guys they can name, okay, like obviously people know Stafford, Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp from the Super Bowl a couple years ago. I got it. But now the only other 2 guys that people might be able to name, Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams, they are crazy productive. Guys, these are 5th-round picks. Yeah. I mean, think about the value McVay is providing for that organization by getting this much production, like star production, out of 5th-round picks on rookie contracts. These guys are making the minimum.
No, that's exactly right. This is why Les Snead had to hit these picks out of the park because they traded so much draft capital to win that Super Bowl, and he's done an amazing job to get this point. How did everything go at my front page story for Christmas?
It was great, and I always appreciate you guys mentioning it. It was awesome. Thank you to everybody that got a story at myfrontpagestory.com. Best gift ever, obviously, with Valentine's Day. We'll be here before you know it. You can think about that. But, yeah, I mean, look, there's a bunch of teams now, whether it's the Browns in the AFC or the Bills or the Rams, you don't want to play. We're going to have a fun playoff season, fellas, with some of these wild card teams playing well.
Totally concur. Ross, have a great new year. Thanks for the time as always.
All right, see you guys.
Be good.
Thank you.
More of the Week 17 numbers next.
Juice Reel, a free betting intelligence app and a tool every bettor needs. It links your betting accounts into one app, delivers in-depth analytics on your betting history, and you have access to the history of billions of bets placed by all Juice Reel users. In-depth betting analytics with billions of data points enables you to tail the winners and fade the losers. They have the AI bot who's hitting 60% through more than 100 games. Download the free app in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Juice Reel, R-E-E-L. Go get it today, Juice Reel.
More of the Week 17 slate now. The game on Saturday night, Lions at the Cowboys, Dallas at home, lane 6. Total is 53.5. We mentioned this earlier in the show. Has a chance to be, if not the highest total of the entire regular season, certainly one of them. And Paulie, Dallas at home, I mean, they've just been weird, right? Funky. They've been so much better at home this year than they've been on the road.
Yep, the scores are blowing everybody out except the Seattle game. Beat the Jets by 20, beat the Patriots by 35, beat the Rams by 23. Beat Washington by 35, beat the Eagles by 20. I bet Dallas. I also did a money line parlay with Cleveland. Detroit's defense has been horrible. They had that great performance against Tampa Bay when they won 20-6. Since then, it's been ugly. Lit up at Baltimore. Couldn't stop Herbert and the Chargers. Couldn't stop Fields in either game. Got beat on Thanksgiving. Love carved them up. So, and Nick Mullins throws for 400 yards on you. So I just think a hangover celebration mode. First time in 30 years you win the division. And I think the Cowboys get right and have a comfortable double-digit win.
Remember they played last year? Was it like 24-6? Cowboys, their defense completely shut down the Lions' offense. Lions' offense better even this year than it was last year. But Cowboys were really good in that game. I bet the Cowboys in that game against the Dolphins to win it outright.
Yep.
Could have. They didn't, though. And I thought, good job by holding the Dolphins to 5 field goals in that game and Tua to fewer than 300 yards and 1 touchdown. But the offense didn't do enough on that game in that game on the road. So I haven't made up my mind what I'm going to do with this game yet. But 53.5, very high total, obviously. The Cardinals are playing at the Eagles. Now, this number, again, on the look-ahead or the opener was 12. Bet down to 9.5, now back to 11. And Philly being the favorite here. And the total up now to 48.5, which is not surprising to me at all. I think we can get some points in this game.
Well, it should have been a comfortable win, but it wasn't. As you fumble the kickoff to start the second half, and then you have the pick six, what was Goddard falls down. I think it was Goddard. But when's the last time the Eagles, we were impressed with the Eagles and they played a complete game?
Ooh, that's a great question.
I mean, they won Monday night in Kansas City, but they didn't play well. And it's more of, Kansas City has all their issues, and they only allowed 17 points in that game. You were down big and came back to win Buffalo. Buffalo handed you the game. You had lost 3 in a row, and you beat the Giants, but if Tyrod Taylor starts you, maybe you lose that game.
Maybe.
The DeVito experiment might be over. So it's you have this gaudy record here, but 11-4, it doesn't look the same, and they're not right. And they're going to probably win out and get the 2 seed, but they're going to have a tough test in the first playoff game. I give Seattle or the Rams an excellent chance to beat them in that 2-7 matchup if that's going to be the matchup. Now, making the move, the defense with Patricia has been okay, but it just doesn't look right. And I haven't been impressed with the Eagles in months.
So we have 2 really big favorites on the board back to back here. The Niners are laying 13.5 against the Commanders in Washington. Total there is now up to 49. And I'm telling you that if Rivera would make the right move, like right now, this morning, and news would come out, the Brissett's going to be the starting, I would bet the over now.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Because the Niners will not be stopped in this game. The Commanders' defense is one of the worst. It is, in fact, the absolute worst in the league against the pass. Purdy's going to have a bounce back. I expect most of their skilled guys to have big games. And the Niners might have, 28 points at halftime in this game.
Yep.
So it's, I think, like first half Niners team total over, game for the over. And I just, as long as we get some good weather in the nation's capital, I don't see. And by the way, Brissett can move the ball too, probably here. Remember Kyler Murray with the Cardinals a couple of weeks ago.
I can't believe Rivera hasn't been fired. 4-11. And how they came out in that Jets game right away.
That is inevitable.
Yep.
And then what happens to Eric Bieniemy?
Good question.
Does he go back to KC?
I know, yeah. That would make sense.
I mean,
they certainly miss him. And Howell has been awful here the last couple of weeks too, though. So if it is Howell, though, I see a ton of sacks and turnovers, though.
Yeah, in fact, that could actually create for the over as well, where the Niners are just set up for even easier scoring chances then. If Bieniemy does not get a head coaching job, I think Andy Reid should call him and say, "We got Nagy's gone." What Nagy did to Trubisky in Chicago, and now year 1 back in KC, what is happening? Is that enough evidence to say maybe the guy should dial it back a little bit and do something else? Be a quarterback's coach?
They're broken all over.
They coach a high school team?
Right. They can't even line up properly.
Again, that happened.
Yes. Again, it happened. You can't protect them. You're running those stupid trick plays inside your own 10. It is nuts to watch and see how bad Kansas City is right now.
Another huge favorite. Bills 12.5 right now at DK against the Pats. Total 40.5.
Yeah, boy.
Big number.
Now, Belichick screwed up the draft pick here. I know it's just a formality that he's going to be gone. But it was more of how bad Russell Wilson and Denver, how they were offensively too.
Yeah.
But now how things have changed. The Bills 1,600 now to make the playoffs. You got to bet 1,600 to win 100 on the Bills to make the playoffs. You got your scare though last week. Hopefully everyone's okay now and with getting over the flu and everyone's good to go. You can't turn the ball over. I mean, I don't care who you are. You were -3 in the turnover differential. That should have been a comfortable win. And again, we still haven't. You got a Gabe Davis sighting, but where's the rapport and the chemistry between Allen and Diggs? They're awesome right now. I mean, the team's winning games. They're going to be scary January, but I got to see more of Allen and Diggs and get on the same page.
If we get that playoff game, Bills pick 'em at KC. Who do you want?
Yeah, I got to take them. They beat them 3 years in a row there.
I would have a lot of faith in the Bills going there and winning that game again.
Defense is playing well too. The defense bailed them out in that Saturday game.
Yep.
Holding them to field goals and sack and stick time and time again when they needed a big play.
All right, so the Ravens on the look ahead, they were 3 in this game against Miami. That's where it opened again on Sunday, after the game on Monday night. Get my timeline straight here. Then it moved to 4 yesterday, back down to 3.5 today.
Well, the public's going to be all over the Ravens. Last thing you saw. And they take out the 49ers, no problem.
It'll be heavily.
Right. So I already saw Mike Florio say the Ravens are going to kill him and embarrass him. So it's because it's going to punch him in the mouth, and Miami isn't physical, and that's what his thinking is, and certainly what they did against San Francisco. But look at what the NFL has been since Week 12. Upsets, no one's safe, and it seems like a fishy line now, where it's why is this only 3.5 after they just went to San Francisco and took them apart?
Sure.
And they're going to get the 1 seed with a win.
I put it this way: I would have liked the Ravens a lot more had that not happened on Monday night. Let's say the Niners won by 10. And it wasn't pretty for the Ravens. I would love the Ravens in this game against the Dolphins as a bounce back. They have played at least 2 other absolute exquisite A+ games this year. One was when they buried Detroit. The next week they went to Arizona and barely survived that game, did not cover. And then right after that, they hosted Seattle and they killed Seattle. The next game, what happened? They lost outright to Cleveland, 33-31. They could not stop Deshaun Watson in the second half. He was 14 of 14 in that game. So just when you think, I mean, it's the NFL. It's week to week. It's you cannot just have it in your brain what happened last.
Yep.
You should know that by now. Now, that said, could they go out there and win by 2 scores? Of course. Also, don't forget, was it last year? They had a 35-14 lead against Tua going into the fourth quarter, and they gave it up?
Right. So this should have been the Sunday night game. This is so important. Winner going to get the 1 seed. You know, Miami could still blow the division here. Bad job by the league, and then there's 10 early and 3 late, which is stupid. The 10 early should never happen.
I'm getting the splits right now from the VSiN betting splits page. 76% of the handle at DK on Baltimore, 65% of the bets.
Okay, now how about the Rams? Down to 5.5 now. Mm-hmm. I love the Rams, and they've been hot, and they won 5 of 6. It's a different Giants team, though, with Tyrod Taylor. They should have went to Buffalo and won, and he comes in, he hits Slayton on the long touchdown. He's much better than DeVito. So now Dable doesn't know what he's going to do the rest of the way at quarterback, and it appears Tommy's 15 minutes are up, too. That's a tough game if it's going to be Tyrod Taylor. I think I could see him play spoiler in that game.
Well, right, you're not gonna love the Rams if it is Tyrod Taylor, right?
No way.
You're not gonna bet them. We just saw what the Giants did as a 6-point dog at home against Green Bay a couple of weeks ago, right? When they were actually playing out of their minds in that game for Tommy DeVito, and that was the design runs game where he had like 71 yards rushing, and somehow they came back to win late. But they were in it the entire time. Yeah, that's Tyrod Taylor. I don't want to lay 6 with the Rams on the road. Could be in a tricky spot here.
Yeah. Would you give up on Tommy? Would you say enough's enough?
I mean, didn't we know that was coming?
Well, it's been ugly the last couple of weeks. Not doing anything offensively. Sacks. Not scoring. Maybe Daboll's seen enough.
Yeah. A ton of other games to get to in Week 17.
Great card, though, yes.
I got to bring this up about Antonio Pierce. Everybody's saying he's got to have the job. Does he really have to have the job? I'll point one thing out in like the last month for the Raiders. That's coming up next.
Juice Reel, a free betting intelligence app and a tool every bettor needs. It links your betting accounts into one app, delivers in-depth analytics on your betting history, and you have access to the history of billions of bets placed by all Juice Reel users. In-depth betting analytics with billions of data points enables you to tail the winners and fade the losers. Download Juice Reel, R-E-E-L. Download the free app in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. It's free. Juice Reel, R-E-E-L. Go get it.
All right, we'll talk some bowl betting here as VSiN host Wes Reynolds joins the program. You can catch him with Matt Youmans weeknights right here on VSiN from 9 until midnight Eastern. That's 6 p.m. here on the West Coast. Their show is called VSiN Tonight. Wes, happy holidays. Thanks for the time, man. Hope you had a great Christmas. Well, let's start with this before we get into any of these individual games that we have today or beyond. What would be your advice on the heels here of what happened with the point spread last night before the Kansas UNLV game when it dropped from 13 as low as 7.5 on game day, like hours before kickoff? I saw 7.5 minus 105 on the Jayhawks, and they eventually won by 13.
Yeah, I think, what you want to do, and look, the bowl games now are crapshoots anyway, because it used to be, okay, who's going to get suspended, who's going to get in a bar fight, who's going to not make grades. So you already had that, and now you have the opt-outs for the draft, and then you add the portal on top of it. So, you either want to be early or I think you want to be late on these games. You don't want to be in the middle. You either want to take the number right away or you want to do it, a couple hours before kickoff, because you never know. You might get a late opt-out. One of the things that we saw last week, I think it was the Frisco Bowl, the Marshall-UTSA game, and then all of a sudden the steam came against UTSA. UTSA, I think, was as high as almost 2 touchdowns. All the steam came against them because Frank Harris, the guy that kind of helped build the program, their 7-year quarterback, wasn't going to go with an injury, and then all of a sudden the steam came on Marshall. And then Marshall plays a competitive first half, and then their running back, Rashawn Ali, sits in the second half, and UTSA ends up winning by 18 anyway. So, yeah, I think you want to be early or you want to be late in terms of, like, all this portal stuff. And then plus, I think you also want to look at the fact that you don't want to necessarily go with the hot team always. Sometimes, you can go with these teams that have lost 4 or 5 in a row. Georgia State against Utah State. I think Georgia State had lost like 5 in a row, and they trucked Utah State on Saturday. Same thing with Coastal Carolina. They had lost a few in a row. San Jose State was like the red-hot team, had won 6 in a row, and San Jose State looked like a no-show in the bowl game. Yet again, they've done that a couple times over the years under Brennan. But, yes, you don't want to pay too much attention. Each game is, its own unique thing. You don't want to necessarily just fade a team that's on a losing streak and ride a team that's on a hot streak, especially in these lower bowls.
Mm-hmm. All right, now, having said all that, what is your approach now on game day here for USC and Louisville and how this number has flipped, obviously because of the news with USC where they are seemingly without a ton of star talent on this team, and they're now catching 7 this morning here against Louisville?
Yeah, I took some 7.5, and there was some 7, but as we speak, some of these 7s are disappearing on USC, and we know all the early money was on Louisville because of Caleb Williams and Brendan Rice and Marshawn Lloyd and a lot of the stars on the USC offense opting out. But you got to take the opt-outs on the other side too. Thrash, Louisville's best receiver, and their big playmaker is not going to go. Jordan, their running back, is not going to go. So I took a little USC, and look, it's kind of a hold your nose thing to take USC based on what we've seen. Well, I went over with Matt Youmans and watched them against Washington, and they couldn't tackle. The defense was one of the worst I'd ever seen, and they couldn't do anything against Washington, especially stopping their running game. And then they no-showed against their rival UCLA. So this is kind of that stinky underdog that I think you can take because USC, even with all the opt-outs, they still have more talent than Louisville, and that's still a big number. This would have been USC, mid or early season, they'd have been laying almost 2 touchdowns to Louisville, or maybe about 10 or something like that. So, I went ahead and took USC. I know Louisville's going to be motivated because this is a big thing for those guys, but I think they just got a little bit overpriced here.
Okay, how about the Texas Bowl? And this has flipped 7 points now. Oklahoma State's now laying 3, a ton of opt-outs for A&M.
Yeah, God, I hate to lay the worst of the number, but I can only be on Oklahoma State here because what I think the line was in a pattern, like a holding pattern for a while, because we didn't know if Ollie Gordon, the running back for Oklahoma State, was going to go. But now he's going to go. And it's not just the opt-outs for A&M. It's the coaching portal. It's not just the transfer portal. It's the coaching portal. We know Jimbo's fired. Petrino took the OC job at Arkansas. You have Mike Elko and his staff coming in. They're not going to coach. The rest of the staff is in flux. So you got guys, coaches worrying about jobs. Okay, am I going to be kept by the new coach, or am I going to be having to go to the coaching convention and giving out resumes and looking for employment? So there's a lot of concern on that A&M side. So I do like the Cowboys here in this spot.
How about a game on Thursday? It's the Pinstripe Bowl in the Bronx. Rutgers playing Miami of Florida. And Rutgers now a very small favorite looking across the screen. I do see as high as 1.5. I also see a pick 'em out there still. Do you want to fade Mario Cristobal here in his bowl game against Rutgers?
I do want to fade Mario Cristobal because when I back him, bad things happen. So, look, I'm looking at Rutgers here, and they had a soft schedule, granted, and got to that 6-2 start, lost their last 4 games. Greg Schiano, a former staffer at Miami, granted it was 20 years ago when he was the defensive coordinator, but I think Schiano is going to take this very seriously. Of course, they're in their backyard, so to speak, in New York, and Rutgers is always kind of fighting for respectability and fighting for attention up there in New York with such a crowded sports landscape. And I think that they're going to be excited to play the U. This is an old school Big East rivalry when they were both members of the Big East Conference. So I wonder about the U here. We know Tyler Van Dyke. He's already committed to Wisconsin. He was already in the portal. They had a couple guys, a couple defensive starters. Actually, I believe they have, I'm just looking at total, I think they're going to be without 5 or 6 starters on defense and without 4 on offense. So I like the Scarlet Knights. I think that they are the more motivated team, and that's old school bowl handicapping. Yeah. Even with this modern day portal and everything going on and opting out for the draft, you always want to look for who you think the more motivated team is, and I think it's Rutgers here.
Yeah, well said. Okay, more importantly, and we're talking to Wes Reynolds, you can catch a show with Matt Youmans. It's called VSiN Tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. out here on the West Coast. Are you close to being ready for the return of the PGA Tour next week? It begins a week from tomorrow. Of course, the Century Tournament is going to return next week, Wes.
Yeah, and we got a bigger field, too, because usually this field only has about 30 players because it's PGA Tour winners, but they changed the qualification process, and I believe we're going to have upwards of 50 to close to 60 players in this event. So it's going to be good to have it back. We know it was a pretty busy off season with John Rahm defecting to LIV and, just a lot of changes. So, yeah, I'm ready for it. And I think, we're still going to have really good fields in Phoenix and in Pebble Beach. That's now a designated event, as is this one here in Kapalua. So we should have most of the big stars that are eligible that are going to play this event next week.
Yeah, you can follow him on X. He's at Wes Reynolds 1. And again, his show is called VSiN Tonight with Matt Youmans, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific, right here on VSiN. Thanks, Wes. We appreciate that. Happy New Year.
You bet, guys. Happy New Year to you.
Yep.
You too, buddy.
Yep. So, okay. Made a case there for USC plus the points. He grabbed 7.5 when that was available. These numbers are all over the board, man.
Yeah.
And again, the Oklahoma State game.
Come on.
Tip of the cap to Paul Stone. He said that one immediately.
Yep.
He said, grab Oklahoma State. Now Texas A&M, they're going to be without a ton of guys. And he hit that one. Now the numbers just got to come in tonight. Oklahoma State, get the job done now. Take care of business.
Look at the Virginia Tech game.
I know.
They opened 5.5 against Tulane. They're up to 10.5. The total 48.5 down to 43.5. And Brad Powers made a good point about even, Tulane was smoke and mirrors for much of the season too. I mean, they lost to SMU in the title game, their backup quarterback.
Yep.
And they got a defensive touchdown the first play of the game. Mm-hmm. So it's 11-2, but losing Fritz and Pratt out, their quarterback, it was they weren't that impressive when they were in the beat East Carolina by 3, beat Tulsa by 2. They had a lot of they had a weird season, but Va Tech again taking some big money here.
What's going to happen today between the bowl games that we have? Will we get some crazy news about how another quarterback is sick, somebody changed his mind, he's going to play? Oops, look at this star player's going to enter the transfer portal. Last night was, I mean, that's just, get used to it, folks. That's going to happen all the time now.
What, 3 hours, 4 hours before kickoff?
Yeah. You blink, You
God.
take a 5-minute break, you come back, and a 13-point favorite is down to 7.5. Like, I'm sorry, what?
Then he's warming up and he leaves, and the other guys are throwing. Bean?
Yeah, he takes off at some point. Then he comes back. And then there's breaking news. The star tailback, people thought that Neal was going to leave the pro. He's there. He played.
This is out of control.
Wild,
Go back to Monday night. Lock, Smith. Oh, Gino's. Oh, no, he's not Gino. Line moves 2 points. Total moves deep 2 points. Oh, it's Drew Lock.
Up next, a stat on the New York Jets that you won't believe.
To determine the winner of any given college basketball game.
Someone gives you 10,000 to 1 on anything. You take it. Take it. Take it.
I bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way. I'll give you 3 to 1 odds. Nope. 5 to 1. Nope. 10 to 1. You're on.
All right, as of yesterday, the Moneyline Parlay paid better than the teaser. Browns, Cowboys. I don't think it's going to go well for Simeon tomorrow. We have Flacco fever. And the Browns are hot. Stefanski's hot. Amari Cooper. How about that? The DraftKings Propcast, where a wide receiver have 200 yards. He has the team record. And I think the Browns win as their defense has been so good all year at home defensively. And the Cowboys in a bad spot for the Lions after clinching the division for the first time in 30 years. Browns-Cowboys Moneyline Parlay. Eating the chalk. Love the card. Hard to figure. This Raiders season's been so weird. But you lose 3-0 at home, you score 63 points, and then you win a game where you don't complete a pass for 3 quarters. You get 2 defensive touchdowns against the Chiefs. Another road game, short week travel. I'll take the Colts laying 3. The Bears laying 3 against the Falcons. Don't trust them on the road. Bears playing well, playing hard, trying to save jobs. Dallas laying 6 against Detroit. And Tampa laying 3 against the Saints. I think this is too short. It should be higher. Tampa's won 4 in a row. Mayfield's been great. 26-8 touchdown INT ratio. No problem the last 2 weeks beating Green Bay and Jacksonville. And I don't trust Carr on the road. And I think the Buccaneers win this division and get the win Sunday.
All right. Winner last night with the Grizzlies, +5 against the Pelicans. They won it outright in overtime. They are now 4-0, straight up NATS, since the return of Ja Morant. Playing really good basketball. When you were out last week, JVT said you need to get this team up right now 6-1. This is before he ever played a second. He said, grab them 6-1 right now to make the play-in tournament. They are a completely different team. Guy's awesome, and that's 4 straight. So I'm going to keep riding this wave here for a little while longer. That's a winner. In the NFL this week, Steelers +3.5, -115 against the Seattle Seahawks.
Like that side too. Yeah, they're getting Marcus Smart back too.
Oh, Grizzlies, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the only bet that I have added so far today. I do have Oklahoma State but that's, again, Paul Stone came on the show. He's like, A&M's going to be without a ton of guys. Grab the 4.5 while you can. 7.5, again, just win the game tonight now. And for those who you are still betting Oklahoma State, cover the 3. Get the job done for us.
Before you make your next bet, be sure to visit vsin.com. Check the current betting splits data. Want to know where the money and bets are moving every NFL or bowl game? It's updated with DraftKings odds every 5 minutes. Find out where the public's betting based on the number of tickets and where the money doesn't match the public opinion. Improving the betting splits always and adding soccer betting splits from around the world. Check it out. Betting splits every game. 3 games today in the Premier League. vsin.com.
Here's your crazy but true stat on the New York Jets. Great tweet from Football Perspective. It's hard to believe this is true, but the Jets have gone 4 straight seasons without any player having 10 passing touchdowns. 2019 was the last time a Jets quarterback had double-digit passing touchdowns. Assuming Zach Wilson finishes the year with 8, the Jets will be the first team since the 1988 through 1992 Patriots to go 4 straight seasons without a single player having 10 touchdowns passing. In this world of NFL, well, and again, this year, down year, forget about that. I mean, for a good decade plus, it's been so pass-happy, quarterback-friendly, all the rules, the talent. That's staggering, man.
Mm-hmm.
How is that?
Embarrassing.
Oh,
Just
boy.
like not having a backup plan when Rodgers got hurt. Humans, gave me a look. There's no doubt they're a playoff team with Jacoby Brissett, in my opinion. I mean, all these guys were out there and they didn't make a move. Tim Boyle was your move? Simeon? Come on.
Well, in the AFC where it's, totally wide open in some of these teams, I mean, like 12 teams are, as of 2 weeks ago, we're all in this thing. Like, yeah, if this happens, they're going to get in. If that, whatever. The Jets couldn't have, with decent, or I would say average quarterback play, the Jets couldn't win 9 games this year. I think they could have.
Yeah.
Who knows what the limit was with Aaron Rodgers. So, tomorrow night, big night, because if it goes well for the Browns and it looks good and they win and it's convincing, I think Stefanski's going to turn into odds-on for Coach of the Year. And Joe Flacco can maybe become who knows what number in that market to win Comeback Player of the Year.
Stefanski is $1.15 at William Hill. Now, I know Johnny Avello has said time and time again it's liability, and they wouldn't stop betting Dan Campbell and Detroit futures. But to me, I'm with Ross Tucker. He can't win the award. They won 9 games last year, and they closed strong.
Sure.
And they were expected to win that division this year. Plus, Minnesota lost their 2 best players, and the Bears were a big disappointment.
Sure.
But the other thing to look at is Offensive Rookie of the Year. At William Hill, Puka is down to plus 330.
Where do they have Stroud at?
That's another one. 1,000? I think he's 1,000.
Minus 1,000. If Stroud doesn't play, if he can't make it, if he does not recover in time out of the concussion protocol this week, then it absolutely gets real, because that'd be 3 consecutive games.
Well, even if he plays, though, if he doesn't play well.
Well, you have that as well.
Yeah.
But then you have, is there any way Gibbs can...
Oh, he's $6 only. Excuse me.
He's
only
minus $6 now?
Yeah. He was, how was he, 20,000?
Oh, he was minus 20,000.
Yeah, he's $6. Puka plus 330.
Wow. What, is Gibbs 30 to 1?
Got that. Gibbs is 50 to 1.
Gibbs is having an incredible year. In any other year, that guy could... Okay. Now, if Nakua closes here with 2 good games and they make the playoffs, Stroud doesn't play this week, or he does play and it doesn't go well, he can really pull this off. And think about what he was before the season started to win. And I know people who got on him as soon as that news came out about Cooper Kupp, that he was going to miss time. He missed the first 4. He put him on IR, had to miss the first 4 games. At that point, I know people who they did the smart thing, and they grabbed Nakua to win Rookie of the Year, and I can't even imagine what the number was back then. Because after Puka played like that in the first 2 weeks, I think books that did not have him opened him up like at 40 to 1, and he had another good week in week 2, and then they dropped him down to whatever the number was. It was really, really small at that point. So, and then Stroud just played out of his mind for so long and was setting all those rookie records, are on pace to break so many of them that they were going to take it off the board. He was so good. I did go back and look, by the way. The people who give out the award for Coach of the Year, the people who vote for that, I've said this on the air a couple times, so I will clean it up here. When I reminded people that they're not afraid to give it to the same coach multiple times, they gave it to Ron Rivera twice in a 3-year stretch.
Wow.
They gave it to Bruce Arians twice in like less than 5 years, and they gave it to Bill Belichick 3 times, and Bill Belichick had a chance to win it. Who knows? That was like Michael Jordan winning the MVP every single year. Or it's like, well, we got to give it to some other coach because Belichick can't possibly be the coach of the year every season in the NFL. But so that's 3 examples in the last 20 years. Goes back to 2003. That's when Belichick won his first award. But so a coach has won the award multiple times, 3 different times in the last 20 years. And again, Rivera was twice in 3 years. Arians twice in a short amount of time. Stefanski won it in the pandemic year. He can win it this year. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be afraid to give it to that guy. But what was Stefanski a month ago? Or what was he when it wasn't pretty with Deshaun Watson?
I gave up on him. I said there's no way they're going to win 10 games. I mean, and they walk into this Flacco thing.
They are must-watch television, Paul, with Joe Flacco.
Yeah, it's one thing to win games, but it's how they're doing it. He's lighting up the scoreboard and throwing it all over the yard with what he's doing. I mean, the 250 yards, Amari Cooper, and Njoku's been a beast.
Sure.
Crazy.
I mean, it looks like Joe Flacco's in the middle of his prime yet.
Yeah. That's another angle. How about going back to Baltimore? You have that one. Stafford goes back to Detroit. Flacco goes back to Baltimore.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
You got Bills, Chiefs could be in play. Bills, Dolphins in play. Seattle, Philly be a good game. Wild card weekend's going to be nuts. And you probably put Dallas, Tampa on Monday night again like you did last year.
What if the Niners lose to the Rams in Week 18? Don't get home field.
I guess it's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah, I still think they take out Philly, no problem, though.
If they had to go to Philly?
Yeah, come on. They had 42-19, whatever it was. I mean, just Philly hasn't been right. They just look average.
Yeah.
It is. And they played a good half against the Giants, but
what happened in the second
silly
half?
turnovers, yep.
Yeah.
Slayton wide open, fumble, kickoff return, pick six. Predictable offense.
Yeah. Maybe we only have like
Wide
2 or
open.
3 really good teams in the league this year. That's it.
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens lose. I mean, I'm not going on one game. It's just when they got the luck factor and we're +5 in the turnover battle.
I would love for that to happen.
The Rams, they were all played by the Rams, and they tried to blow the Charger game, and they all tried to get the Jacksonville back in the game Sunday.
What's the national narrative if Tua goes there and he throws for 350 and 3 scores on Sunday? You can search Follow the Money. If you missed any of today's show, wherever you get your podcasts, get it there. Good luck tonight.